In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to learn Mandarin smarter and faster as a Cantonese speaker by using the copy and paste method. This is a full-length, in-depth course that outlines exactly how I went from a sick tang sick gong, can barely even write my own Chinese name, Cantonese speaker who had to embarrassingly tell Mandarin grandmas, sorry, I can't speak Mandarin. Go ask that guy over there, to now being able to take my family on trips to Beijing as their Mandarin communicator. All right, to now being able to fully explore and connect with my culture by being able to speak with a billion people in China. Learning Mandarin has not only changed my life and allowed me to connect with my culture, family, and community so much more, but it also changed Eric's life. Eric went from struggling with basic kind of Duolingo apps, community college classes, and basic tutors to now living in China and being able to speak Mandarin fluently to interact with locals. Lamont, who went from struggling with Mandarin in Chinatown classes and kind of Rosetta Stone stuff to now being able to actually have conversations with his wife in Mandarin. And on top of that, Dylan, who went from not being able to speak Mandarin at all to now being able to enjoy more time with his partner's family and connect with them better, on top of being his mom's Mandarin translator now. This includes dozens of other fellow Cantonese diaspora who have improved their quality of life with the information in this free course, which has the power to completely improve the quality of your relationships, opportunities, and in turn, your life. So make sure to buckle up, lock in, and get ready to learn. This is going to be my longest video ever. And there is a ton of value in here, so make sure you take notes and get rid of all distractions while going through this free course. And don't forget to like and subscribe too, because we got a free course, guys. Okay, so before we begin, a very common misconception is that this works if you want to learn both Cantonese and Mandarin, but you can't speak any Cantonese already. All right, this is false. This only works if you speak at least a little bit of Cantonese and communicate at a basic level, okay? 如果你識講少少 this will help you. But if you can't speak anything at all, it won't. Okay, I know it's frustrating, like the basic kind of apps, classes, and tutors can be frustrating, but this method is not going to work for you if you have absolutely zero Cantonese background. Okay, so if that's you, you have permission to go to a new video. I mean, stay subscribed though, because we have constant new updates coming soon, and something that will help you, even if you have no background at all, learn Mandarin faster. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so now let's get into it. So what is the copy and paste method? The copy and paste method is essentially a way for Cantonese speakers to take their existing Cantonese, no matter what level it is, and bring it straight over to Mandarin. And so what this means is that every single expression, statement, question, or kind of like way of saying something that you know how to do in Cantonese, you will be able to do in Mandarin. And so what this means is that if you're at like a basic conversational level in Cantonese, you'll get to a basic conversational level in Mandarin really, really quickly. If you're at an intermediate level, conversational level in Cantonese, then you'll get to an intermediate level in Mandarin much faster, and so on and so forth. Okay, and so where it really differs from kind of like traditional methods of learning Mandarin, like the basic apps like Duolingo, like kind of like the basic college classes or Chinese school things, is that those methods are typically made for and really geared towards guailos. Okay, it's really geared towards them. And they put a really big, heavy emphasis on memorization and characters. And this is because guailos have kind of like zero background, since obviously, English has absolutely zero relation to Mandarin. Okay, and by the way, guys, this is also specifically for kind of like Cantonese diasporas, American-born Chinese, Canadian-born Chinese, British-born Chinese, French-born Chinese, Australian-born Chinese, basically any kind of Cantonese person from around the world, but who isn't from Hong Kong and grew up there. Because if you're like native level Cantonese and can read and write Chinese, there's tons of resources that are available for you already because you're part of the Chinese speaking world. Those are people who, don't have that rich, super high level Cantonese foundation where they can read and write completely fluently, but who have enough Cantonese background to say like, hey, like I don't feel like I should be starting from ground zero with the kind of Guaylo apps. On the flip side, this method is made for Cantonese speakers and has significantly less emphasis on memorization and handwriting characters. And this works because Cantonese is extremely, extremely close to Mandarin. So instead of learning like a whole new language from scratch, like a Guaylo would, right? Cantonese speakers can simply focus on how to take their Cantonese base and morph it into Mandarin, okay? So now a common misconception as well is that people need to be really, really good in Cantonese before they start learning Mandarin with the copy and paste method. This is completely untrue. And the beauty of the method is that it works for any Cantonese level as long as you're not at absolute zero. And so what a lot of people find, especially someone like Eric did, is that their Cantonese improves while they learn Mandarin as well. Okay, so you see here, my Canton vocab is improving as well. So, because once you're kind of able to bring your Cantonese to Mandarin freely, you'll find that kind of like as your Mandarin improves, so does your Cantonese. And at the same time, as your Cantonese improves, so does your Mandarin. Because everything you know how to say in one, you'll easily be able to bring and port over to the other, okay? And so one last note before we begin, okay? I want you to kind of think of language learning like an accumulation of Lego blocks, okay? So in the beginning, right, you're grabbing your Lego blocks from the little Lego bin, and you don't really have enough blocks to form any kind of shape. And you're kind of like, why am I grabbing these blocks, right? You're kind of wondering, why you're accumulating these blocks for and if it's even worth it. You don't see how these blocks in the beginning, if someone's just giving you random blocks, can really come together to form anything, okay? But let's say as we go through everything here, you are going to feel that way in the beginning. You might be like, why am I even watching this guy? But I really want you to stick with it because as you gather more and more blocks and they start stacking, suddenly you start having some of these aha moments. You're like, wait a minute, aha, oh wait, I can take this block to start forming things, right? And let me just lay this block down to start forming certain shapes, and over time, suddenly, the magic happens, and bam, you have the Great Wall of China, right? So, and this is kind of described by one of the students we had, like Lamont. He says over here, Sheldon described learning a language very precisely, and that is a slow process at the beginning to understand all the Lego blocks, right? In the beginning, you'd be like, why are things like this? But after a while of learning, as we kind of go through everything, there's going to be an aha moment for you. And it might come sooner for some people, might come later for some people, but you're going to have that aha moment that all our students have where they're like, oh, wait a minute, now I see how my Cantonese is going to help me learn a lot faster because things are really clicking, okay? And this is really when the fun sets in because then you start being able to form sentences, questions, and thoughts in Mandarin really, really easily, okay? So with that being said, now let's start, okay? So this method starts with learning Mandarin's alphabet system, okay? China has made Mandarin learning super easy by introducing an alphabet. And this is called pinyin, okay? Pinyin is the romanization of Chinese, which means it uses the English alphabet. So unlike English, where kind of like bear and bear have multiple spellings, pinyin only has one spelling for each sound type. So that means, for example, the sound sh, right? S-H-I is always going to be spelled S-H-I, okay? Whether it's sh, tone 1, sh, tone 2, sh, tone 3, or sh, tone 4. Always spelled S-H-I. The sound xiang, for example, is always going to be spelled X-I-A-N-G. It's never going to be spelled any other way. And so what this means is that there's only a finite number of combinations that you will need to learn for pinyin. And once you learn all the combinations, you can basically pronounce and say any word in Chinese. And that's why this is so important, and this is why it's such a game changer for Chinese, okay? Now, this masterclass does not teach pinyin in depth, okay? We don't cover it here. So if you haven't yet, and this is a fundamental step, that is an absolute requirement. So if you haven't learned it yet, you can actually still watch this masterclass. You'll just be picking up pinyin as we go. And then you can always go and watch our more in-depth pinyin video afterwards, which I'll include a link to that in the description box below, okay? So remember, if you haven't kind of like dove into the world of pinyin yet, just know that basically what I told you is basically just the romanization of Chinese. So it's just like English words spelled with Chinese characters, okay? And Chinese sounds. And you don't really need to go super in depth before this masterclass. Like you'll kind of pick it up as we go. But I recommend afterwards, just go in the description box down below, and there'll be a link to our other pinyin videos that you can watch, okay? So next comes Mandarin tones, okay? And this is one that we're kind of assuming you've learned as well before you come in. But if you haven't yet, this is also a fundamental step and an absolute requirement for the copy and paste method, okay? So before we get into the Cantonese to Mandarin copy and paste method, I'm going to kind of gloss over tones real quick so you can have a refresher, okay? This knowledge that I'm going to gloss over is enough to take you through this masterclass, but I still recommend watching our more in-depth tone video afterwards, which I'm also going to link down below in the description box below, okay? So this is basically the gloss over, okay? There's 4 tones in Mandarin, okay? Chinese is a tonal language, which means, for example, if you say the word si, 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 right? say in a different tone, it has a different meaning. For example, the word 死 means for, but the word 死 means to die. So you don't want to mess up the tone, okay? So there's only 4 tones in Mandarin though, okay? And they're represented by these little lines on top. So this little line on top represents each tone, this little line. So for example, this one with one line on top means it's the first tone. So ah, ah, ah. I think like this. Do, re, mi, fa, so. So first one is ah, 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 ah. Second tone goes up like this. Ah, ah, ah. Third tone is ah, 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 ah. Okay, and then fourth tone is ah, ah, ah. Kind of like a chop. Ah, ah. So both the pinyin and tone instructional videos that go more in depth into these will be in the description box down below. All right. So now let's get into the bulk of it. We're gonna dive straight into the first of the 3 fundamental aspects of Cantonese to Mandarin mapping, which is number 1, grammar mapping. This is the most important one, okay? So let's look at this sentence over here. I have to go to China next month, okay? How would you say this sentence in Mandarin? I have to go to China next month, okay? You might know, you might not know, but if you don't know, my first question for you is, how would you say this sentence in Cantonese? The way you say it in Cantonese is 我下個月要去中國. Okay? 我下個月要去中國. Okay? I have to go to China next month. Now, interestingly enough, the way to say it in Mandarin is, if you read over here, this is what's called the pinyin. Okay? So over here, this is called yutping, which is the romanization of Cantonese. So all this stuff over here, right? All this little top bit, okay? That's the official romanization of Cantonese. So that's how you actually spell out the Cantonese sounds, okay? So we don't really care about the characters right now. Don't worry about characters. Just focus on the yutping. So 我下個月要去中國. And then these things are the tones here, okay? Now in Mandarin, we have it in pinyin. So in Mandarin, the way to say it is 我下個月要去中國. 我下個月要去中國. Okay? Interesting thing about these 2 sentences is, if you actually notice in both these sentences, the characters are actually all the same. So look over here. All right, top we have yutping. Okay? This is Cantonese over here. Cantonese. And this over here is Mandarin. Okay? But it's the same characters we're using in the exact same order. The only difference is the way it's pronounced. 我下個月要去中國. 我下個月要去中國. The only difference is the way it's pronounced. And so what this means is that it's almost like, let's say you had 2 people who are English speakers, right? And one person calls it tomato, one person calls it tomato, right? And he says, I eat tomato, right? He pronounced all the words differently, but fundamentally they're the same words, I eat tomato, in the exact same order. And that's kind of like what we have here. And so what this means is that you can already form and create a lot of Mandarin sentences already right now. You just can't pronounce them, or you don't know how to pronounce them yet. But in terms of making a sentence, you just think of a sentence in Cantonese and then learn some new pronunciation to convert it to Mandarin, and bam, so much easier. Because what that means is that you don't need to learn how to formulate Mandarin sentences from scratch like a Guaylo would, for example, right? So now, obviously, it's not always like this, right? If it was, I mean, easiest thing to learn in the world, but it is actually a lot like this. And in fact, there are only a couple of exceptions where this doesn't apply, and we're gonna cover that shortly, okay? So, wow, that's amazing, right? So we learned, what have we learned? We learned that we can already speak a lot of Mandarin, we just can't pronounce it yet. That sucks, but it puts us already way ahead of the Guaylos who need to learn how to formulate Mandarin sentences. On top of that, they then need to learn how to pronounce it. We only need to learn how to pronounce it because we already know how to make sentences. And so as Cantonese speakers, it's so much faster if we do that. So now I want you to notice one more thing here, and this is really important, okay? I want you to notice that there is a difference in grammar between the 2 sentences in English versus Cantonese and in Mandarin, okay? So let's look at English, all right? So in English, it goes subject, I, verb, have to go, preposition, to, okay? China, and then next month, okay? So I have to go to China next month. Subject, verb, preposition, place, time, right? Now don't worry, like it's not a grammar class for English, so don't worry if you don't know what preposition is, for example. Just know that it has this thing called a preposition in there. And notice that the specific order is the way it is with, place being 1, 2, 3, 4, place being fourth, and time being last, for example, right? So now let's look over here though, and see in Chinese, the way it actually was it went, I next month have to go China, right? I next month have to go China. 我下個月要去中國。我下個月要去中國。Okay? There actually is, number one, there's no preposition at all, right? There is no preposition. It's not I next month have to go to China. It's I next month have to go China, right? On top of that, it goes I, subject, same as English, but then it goes time next. I next month have to go China, not I have to go China next month. It's I next month have to go China, right? And so there's actually a difference between English grammar and Chinese grammar, but there's no difference between Cantonese grammar and Mandarin grammar, right? 我下个月 I didn't zoom in. 我下个月要去中国 right? 我下个月要去中国我下个月要去中国 the exact same grammar. And so notice there was a natural rearrangement of the sentence grammatically, and there's no more prepositions needed in Chinese. So all this to say is that an English learner going from English to Mandarin has to learn how to take their English sentence and bring that over to Mandarin, apply and learn all the new grammatical rule differences between English and Chinese. But because for you speak Cantonese. And because of that, and because of the fact that they are literally the exact same sentence, it means that you can skip all of the grammar rules between Cantonese and Mandarin, okay? This means that you inherently know Mandarin grammar for most cases when it is the same as Cantonese, which it is the same as Cantonese in most cases. And so what that means for you is that when it comes to grammar, instead of learning it straight from scratch, all you need to do is learn just the specific cases when Cantonese and Mandarin are different, when they're not exactly the same, okay? And you can then bring all your Cantonese over to Mandarin. So that all you need to do is, one, learn the pronunciation differences, which we'll cover in a bit, we have a trick for, okay? And then on top of that, you just need to learn the exception cases when Cantonese and Mandarin are not the same, and bada bing, bada boom, you got Mandarin out, right? Thank you for sentence in Cantonese, okay, you know what kind of exception cases are there, okay? There's not that one of those cases, okay, cool, bring it to Mandarin, boom, ace. Awesome. So that's all you need, okay? Now let's get right into it. This is the bulk of it. This is gonna be where we're gonna cover what the actual different scenarios are between Cantonese and Mandarin. So when the languages are different and when the grammar doesn't exactly bring over, or maybe the words, okay? So let's start with pronouns. Feels very matching with today's climate. So you and me are the same, right? So I have to go out, okay? In Cantonese, 我要出去, okay? 我要出去. In Mandarin, we see right below, 我要出去, okay? Let's read it one more time together, okay? Don't worry about the Chinese characters. I don't want you to worry about Chinese characters here. It's not a Chinese character focused thing. We're only using that to help you show when Cantonese and Mandarin are the same characters, okay? So, Cantonese, 我要出去, okay? Mandarin, 我要出去, okay? So, for those of you who haven't learned pinyin before, and I said you can just follow along, again, the tones are on top of it. You see the tones here, tones here, tones here, tones here, and the way it's spelled, that's the pinyin. So you might not be familiar with all of it right now, but just follow along, and you can kind of see how the words are pronounced. Because you know that W-O is always going to be pronounced wo. Okay, it's not going to be pronounced whoa on one day. This is the only pronunciation. So as you kind of see all of them, you'll kind of get pinyin in your head. Okay? So, 我要出去,我要出去. So the word for I, okay, the pronoun for I, for me, 我, is the exact same in Cantonese and Mandarin. We use the same thing, 我. You have to go out. Number two, 你要出去,你要出去. Okay, some people say 你, some people say 你. Doesn't really matter. 你要出去, okay? You have to go out, okay? In this case, the you is right over here. In this case, the you is right over here, okay? 你要出去,你要出去,你要出去, okay? the exact same characters, same everything, just different pronunciation. Next pronoun. This is one where it's different. He/she is different, okay? So the way to say he/she has to go out in Cantonese, we use 佢, okay? 佢要出去, 佢要出去, okay? Now in Mandarin, we replace all your 佢's with 他, okay? 他 is the pronoun for he, she, it, just like how 佢 is the pronoun for he, she, it. So it goes 他要出去, 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 okay? The exact same. So this is what I call a replacement case, okay? Where we basically had kind of like the word sentence in Cantonese, and then we replaced one of the words to make it Mandarin, and which is this one. Now, whenever we have a difference, okay, I don't want you to like think of it, oh my God, it's so scary. Just think of yourself like a British guy visiting America for the first time. Okay, so in British, you go to a McDonald's, right, and you want fries and a burger, right? You say, hey, I want fries and chips. Because in the UK, they call like French fries chips, okay? Now, the British guy, when he goes to America, he says burgers and chips. They're like, oh, Lay's, Doritos, what do you want, right? But all he does is he just changes the word chips to fries, but keeps the exact same sentence, right? The sentence structure is the exact same. He knows English. It's the exact same everything else. Just changes one word, chips to fries, and bam, he gets American English, right? In the same way, change your 佢 to a 他, and bam, you get Mandarin, okay? So that's pretty much it. So whenever we have these different cases, I want you to think of it like that. Just think of it, okay, I'm a British guy going to America. I just change one word and everything else the same sentence overall, okay? So that's it. So in the same way, right, go from Cantonese to Mandarin, change your 佢 for he, she, it, okay, to 他, straightforward, right? Let's keep going. So next we have the plural pronouns. In Cantonese, the plural suffix for pronouns is they. So we just add that to the pronoun and it becomes plural. So let's take an example, right? In Cantonese, they. So for example, 我哋, 你哋, right? Us, 你哋, you guys, right? In Mandarin, we replace that they with a 們. So 我哋, 我們, 你哋, 你們. So we replace that they with the 們. Otherwise, the exact same things, okay? So we want to go out to play. So in Cantonese, right? In Cantonese, 我哋想出去玩. 我哋想出去玩. Okay? In Mandarin, replace that they, 我哋 with 們. Okay? So 我們想出去玩. 我們想出去玩. Notice how it's the same character for every single other word, except we replace the they with a 們. Okay? Just like a British guy replacing fries with chips. I mean chips with fries. Okay? So 我們想出去玩. 我們想出去玩. Okay? 我哋想出去玩. The exact same sentence. Remember, you already know how to form it. Okay? Let's get another example. You guys want to go to Hong Kong. Okay? Cantonese. 你哋想去香港. 你哋想去香港. Okay? Mandarin, once again, replace that they with a 們. So 你們想去香港. 你們想去香港. Okay? Same words, just different pronunciation, and replace the they with a 們. Okay? Let's keep going. They want to take the subway. Okay, remember, they, okay? In Cantonese, we use 佢 for he, she, it, right? And for they, we use 佢哋in Cantonese. 佢哋 how you, whatever, he, she, it, whatever. Okay, for they, plural, right? 佢哋, okay? Mandarin, same thing. We do the first one, we replace the 佢 with a 他, okay? Second one, replace the they for plural with 們. Otherwise, same thing, okay? So they want to take the subway. 佢哋想坐地鐵, okay? 佢哋想坐地鐵, okay? Mandarin, 他們想坐地鐵. 他們想坐地鐵. See that? Same characters, same everything. The main thing you should take away from here is not memorizing all these sounds so detailed, right? That's easy, right? Because that's like the same in Cantonese and Mandarin. The main thing here I want you to remember is replace all your ke with a ta, replace all your they with a men for when you pluralize, okay? Let's move on. See, the same. All you do is make one change when going from Canto to Mando, and you change your plural suffix, once again, from a to men, okay? Plural, suffix, pronoun, switch that, bada bing, bada boom, Cantonese to Mandarin, okay? Easy. So, the next difference is with possession, okay? So in Cantonese, how do we indicate possession? Well, we commonly use the word ge. So for example, my friend is very smart. 我嘅朋友好聰明. 我嘅朋友好聰明. And I mean you are very smart. You're my friend. Okay? That's my joke. Hope you guys get it. 我嘅朋友好聰明. Okay? 我嘅朋友好聰明. Okay? So we use that word ge, 我嘅. Okay? 我嘅朋友好聰明. So ge means my, right? 我朋友 works as well. In Cantonese, we actually can omit this possession particle if it's like a close relationship. So 我朋友 is a close friend. So that's why you'll hear people say like 我朋友好叻, 我媽咪好靚, right? You can omit it, but technically it's 我嘅媽咪好靚, 我嘅媽媽好靚, right? 我嘅朋友好聰明, right? That ge indicates possession, okay? So in Mandarin, we replace all of these possession particles, right? All these possession particles, 我嘅朋友, 我嘅爸爸, 我嘅爸爸, right? Replace all those with the, okay? So let me show you guys by scrolling down, okay? Cantonese, possession particle is ge. Mandarin, it's the, okay? That's it. So let's take an example, right? My friend is very smart, so you're very smart. 我嘅朋友好聰明, okay? Mandarin, same thing, but we replace that ge with a de, okay? That's a replacement case. So, 我的朋友好聪明. 我的朋友好聪明, okay? The exact same Cantonese and Mandarin, okay? 我的朋友好聪明. Boom, same. You know what I mean? The exact same, we just changed that ge to a de. 我的朋友好聰明. 我嘅朋友好聰明. So, now, this is where everyone's gonna, I know some people are thinking this in their head, and this is where I'm gonna address it, okay? One is 好 versus 很, okay? If you're a Mandarin person, you learned some stuff in the past, thinking, oh, it should be 很聪明. We'll go into that later, okay? 好聪明 is totally fine though. Okay? So, now in Cantonese though, we typically use the measure word to indicate possession as opposed to the possession particle. Okay? A lot of you are thinking this. Now, what is a measure word? A measure word is used to indicate the amount of something. For example, we don't say a sheet of coffee, we say a cup of coffee, right? We don't say a block of coffee, we say a cup of coffee, right? In Cantonese, same thing, right? We say 一杯水, right? A glass of water, right? We don't say 一張水, a sheet of water. So that's what a measure word is, that little character in between, right? 一杯 is a measure word for cup, right? 一張is a measure word for sheets, okay? So in Cantonese, we typically actually just use the measure word to indicate possession as well. So for example, right? My phone, right? My cell phone, we say 我部手機, right? 我部手機. We don't say 我嘅手機, 我個手機. You can say that as well, right? It's totally fine, but typically we say 我部手機, or if we have a dog, a pet dog, we say 我隻狗. We don't say 我個狗, we don't say 我嘅狗, we say 我隻狗, okay? So and 隻 is the measure word for animals, okay? So in Cantonese, we just use the measure word to indicate possession as well. In Mandarin, we don't follow that, okay? In Mandarin, it's super simple. We just keep on using the de for every single case of possession. So let's look at an example, okay? So your phone is very expensive, okay? So in Cantonese, 你部手機好貴, okay? 你部手機好貴, okay? In Mandarin, we don't say 你部手機好貴, okay? We just use the possession particle, the for everything. So 你的手机好贵。你的手机好贵。Okay? 你的手机好贵。Make sense? 你的手机好贵。Okay? 你的手机好贵。Okay? So whenever we indicate possession in Mandarin, we just always use this character. Don't even question it. If you have something weird in Cantonese you're using, like some weird measure word, just put the in Mandarin for possession. Okay? So let's look at some more examples. Their cat is very cute. So here we have a multiple replacement, right? Their cat is very cute. 佢哋隻貓好可愛, right? 佢哋隻貓好可愛. 可愛 means cute, right? Their cat is very cute. Okay? 隻, as we said earlier, is the measure word for animals, and so in Cantonese we typically use the measure word as possession. So 佢哋隻貓, okay? Now in Mandarin that becomes, okay? So we replace 佢哋 with 他們, which we know already. Replace 佢哋 with 他們, simple pronoun replacement, okay? Then replace 隻 with the possession particle, and the rest same thing, right? 佢哋隻貓好可愛, right? 他們的貓好可愛, right? 他們的貓好可愛. So we replace these, the ones in color, then these three, the rest are all the same. Okay? So replace the 佢哋 with 他們, and replace the 隻 possession particle with the. Cool. So you have to use your money. Okay? 你要用你啲錢，你要用你啲錢, right? 你要用你啲錢, okay? So 我啲嘢 is used to indicate like a bunch of something, right? 你啲錢, like we have a lot of money, right? 你要用你啲錢. In Mandarin, what did I say? Always the. Possession in Mandarin, always the. So 你要用你的錢，你要用你 all the same 的錢，你要用你啲錢，你要用你的錢. I hope it's making sense for you guys. Okay? So possession in Mandarin is way easier than Cantonese because all it uses is the word da. Okay, in Cantonese we use a bunch of things, but in Mandarin we literally just add the word da to everything. So let's continue. In Cantonese, to indicate negation, so to say like, no, I don't want something, negation, there's three ways mainly. The first of which is mo, okay? So for example, right? They have no friends. 佢哋冇朋友，佢哋冇朋友，佢哋 they 冇 negation 朋友 they have no friends. 佢哋冇朋友. Okay? Now in Mandarin, pretty straightforward. We just replace all your mo's for not have with mayo. Remember, just like fries and chips, you just replace that word. Don't even question it. Just do it. Okay? Replace that mo with mayo. So let's look at an example. So same one as before. They have no friends. Okay? 佢哋冇朋友，佢哋冇朋友. So the word in focus is always going to be in red. Okay? I'll show every single other word in different color if it's replaced, and then the ones that aren't replaced are going to be in the gray scale. Okay? But the one that I want you to focus on is always in red. So here, right, the lesson here is replace the mo with mayo, right? So 佢哋冇朋友, they have no friends. Okay? First, replace the 佢哋 with 他們 pronouns. Okay? Then the mo replace with the mayo. Okay? So 他們沒有朋友, they have no friends. Okay? Replace the mo with mayo. Very straightforward. Okay? You did not eat. 你冇食飯. You did not eat. Or you have not eat. You're not eaten. You did not eat. Right? 你冇食飯. Okay? 你冇食飯. Okay? In Mandarin, same thing. Replace the lei with ni. Oh, this is actually a mistake on my end on the slides. These are the same. You don't need to replace anything here. All right? Lei, ni. Same thing. Okay? Mo, meo. Mo, meo. Replace that. We know that. And then sik fan. Mandarin, There's a replacement here actually. 吃饭,吃饭. So this is what we call, it's not necessarily a grammar type replacement, it's just a different choice of words. This is literally fries and chips. Like literally fries and chips. Because in Mandarin, no one would ever say mo like this. It's like actually like it's like no one ever says it. But in Mandarin, the word sick, this verb over here, it's pronounced shi. It does still have the meaning of to eat, but commonly instead they choose to use this one, which is chi, chi or heck in Cantonese. So 你没有吃饭, okay? So that's how you would say eat in Mandarin is chi. So this is literally a case of same thing, fries and chips. So when you go to Mandarin, just replace all your sick for to eat with chi and you will be good. In any case, as long as it represents the verb to eat, replace with chi and you'll be good. Okay? So 你冇食飯,你沒有吃飯. Okay? Let's look at some more examples of sick and chi. So we did not eat breakfast. Okay? So 我哋冇食早餐,我哋冇食早餐,我哋冇食早餐. Okay? So here we have a couple replacements. First off, the plural, replace the they with the men. Okay? Then the negation, replace the mo with mayo. Okay? Then 食吃, same thing. The rest, it's the same. Okay? So 我哋冇食早餐,我們沒有吃早餐,我們沒有吃早餐. Okay? 我哋冇食早餐,我們沒有吃早餐. Okay? On we go. So, like I said earlier, when going from Cantonese to Mandarin, replace all our sick for to eat with chi in Mandarin. Exactly the same as fries and chips. So, sick replaced with chi, easy peasy. Okay? So, next negation is we use for no in Cantonese, and then you just replace all your with bu. So what do I mean? Okay? So in Cantonese, say no, we say So for example, 我唔要, I don't want, right? 我唔要. In Mandarin, 我不要,我不要. Replace all your with bu. Just do that every time and you'll be good. Replace all your with bu. So, let's look at some examples. I don't eat meat. Cantonese, 我唔食肉,我唔食肉,我唔食肉. Okay? Mandarin, replace your with bu. Okay? 我唔食肉. Replace your with bu. Okay? Then replace your sick with chi. We all know that already. So Mandarin, 我不吃肉. 我, same thing. 不, different word. 吃, and then 肉. Okay? 我不吃肉. 我唔食肉,我不吃肉. Okay? And this is the same yo. It's pronounced ro in Mandarin. Okay? She doesn't eat peanuts. Okay? Remember, he, she, it. Chinese doesn't discriminate. It's all the same pronoun. It's 佢. Okay? So, 佢唔食花生. 佢唔食花生. Okay? 佢唔食花生. Okay? This one, I messed up the PowerPoint slide. Sorry. This one should be colored. Okay? So, first, bring that 佢to他. We know that. 佢to他, pronoun. Then bring that to bu. Okay? To bu. Then bring that 食 to 吃. Another replacement. And then 花生, 花生, 花生. 佢唔食花生. 他不吃花生. Okay? So, that's how you say she doesn't eat peanuts. 他不吃花生. 佢唔食花生. 他不吃花生. Okay? Awesome. By the way, guys, so one thing to note when going from Cantonese to Mandarin is generally most nouns, especially stuff like this, like peanuts or like, rice or like noodles, it will generally be the same between Cantonese and Mandarin, okay? Generally, it's things that, honestly, it's like very specific verbs that change, like specific verbs like this. But a lot of verbs are actually the same between Cantonese and Mandarin. And then it's like small things like this, which I will point out in this video, okay? I'll point out a lot of the common ones, okay? So, you guys don't eat fish. So, 你哋唔食魚. You guys don't eat fish. 你哋唔食魚. 你哋唔食魚. Okay? In Mandarin, right? First things first, plural, replace the they with the men. So 你们, replace the with a 不, okay? Easy. Replace sick with 吃. So 你们不吃鱼. 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 Okay? And the last one is, we use for negation in Cantonese commonly, is 未. So haven't yet, right? 我未食飯. I haven't eaten yet, right? In Mandarin, replace that with 还没, 还没, 还没. So may with 还没. Let's look at some examples. So they've yet to eat lunch, okay? So in Cantonese, 佢哋未食午餐. 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 午餐 is lunch, okay? In Mandarin, 他们, so replace the 佢哋 with 他們, okay? 未 with 還沒, 食 with 吃, and then 午餐 is the same both Cantonese and Mandarin. So 他們還沒吃午餐. 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 Okay? Teacher has yet to eat breakfast. This is actually true. Okay? 老師未食早餐. Okay? 老師未食早餐. Okay? Mandarin, same thing. So generally stuff, especially like these, like 老師, 警察, like all those kind of like roles type stuff, those kind of nouns, same mechanics in Mandarin. Okay? Same word they use. So 老師, 老師, same mechanics in Mandarin. 未 becomes 還沒, 食 吃, 早餐 早餐. 老師未食早餐. 老師還沒吃早餐. Okay? Nice. Son has yet to eat dinner. 阿仔未食晚餐. 阿仔未食晚餐. Okay? 阿仔 son 未食 hasn't eaten 晚餐 dinner, right? Mandarin. First off, we replace the 阿仔 for the word son with 兒子. 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 This is literally just another fish and chips replacement. No, wait, sorry. This is just another chips and fries replacement, okay? 阿仔兒子, okay? 未還沒, 兒子還沒吃晚餐. 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 Same both Cantonese and Mandarin. Remember, don't focus. You're not going to memorize everything right now. You're not going to memorize that 晚餐 is 晚餐, okay? I want you to right now focus on just understanding these different cases, and you can come back and watch this video again, okay? But you're not going to memorize everything right now, okay? So, additional change here for the word son, as you mentioned, right? Fish and chips, chips and fries type scenario. 阿仔 became 兒子. 阿仔 became 兒子. Easy peasy. So whenever you want to say son, 阿仔 in Cantonese, just replace that with 兒子and you're good at Mandarin. Cool. So now before we move on to the next grammatical mapping rule and to kind of continue from there, I want to introduce you to vocabulary mapping and tone mapping. It's not as sexy, but having the knowledge of this while absorbing the rest that's to come is going to help make it a lot easier to absorb. So let me explain. So now we see how grammar mapping has made things a lot simpler with the copy-paste method, right? A lot of these concepts will take a long time to explain to a guaylo, but for you, because you speak Cantonese, it's just like, okay, take your same sentence, replace one word, bada bing, bada boom. You don't need to understand why things are the way they are because you speak Cantonese and it's inherently the same, right? So what is normally with the traditional way, having to learn and understand a whole bunch of new grammar rules is now made a lot simpler, right? You already know the grammar. It's just different pronunciation or different choice of word, okay? So now, the next question you're probably having is, how do I know what the Mandarin word is supposed to be besides memorization, right? So first off, it's important to point out, like, if all you have to do at this point is memorize some Mandarin words and not have to learn a bunch of new structure, okay, which is what's happening here, it's already a lot easier, right? Still, we don't stop there, okay? I hate memorization, okay? So Now, before we get into vocabulary mapping, let's cover a bit about why using your Cantonese makes the little memorization you have to do easier anyway, okay? And the reason why is because of this concept in memorization theory called memory anchors. So, what does a boat anchor do? A boat anchor stops a boat from floating away. Now, in the same way, and I don't take credit for this, this is a lot of memory research, okay? What does a memory anchor do? It stops a memory from floating away. So, you might learn something new, but then you might forget the next day. A memory anchor stops it from floating away. So, now, this is the key part. Whenever you learn something, the new piece of information must be connected to something you already know, okay? And if it is, it's a lot easier to form memory anchors, okay? So, this is Ollie Level's concept. He's like a big memorization kind of guru or whatever. But essentially, the closer something new is to something you already know, the easier it will be for your brain to retain it, okay? So, now, let's look at this word. How close is the word 走 to the word leave? Is there any kind of relation here? Like, there isn't. Yeah, it's just random information that your brain has to say, okay, I gotta memorize that, right? It's hard, okay? It's quite far. That's why with the traditional Guaylo apps, it's hard. And that's why there's such a big focus in the Chinese learning community on using kind of like advanced memorization techniques like, memory bank in your head, like memory house to help you learn Chinese. And the reason why is because so much of learning Chinese is geared towards the Guaylos. And for Guaylos, there's no relation, right? So they have to use these techniques. They have to rely on these advanced, hard. We're not saying they're bad, right? Not saying they're bad at all. These are important techniques for them because they need these, because there is no relation here, right? But on the other hand, let's say you were to use your Cantonese, right? How much less focus could you put on memorization? How much less memorization would you need to do if you use your Cantonese, okay? So, quite simple, right? Let's say the word 走, right, for to leave, okay? 走, for to leave. Well, in Cantonese, it's pronounced 走, 走, 走. 走 is quite close to 走, right? So, it's almost like remembering tomato, right? Everyone remembers tomato, right? It's not like we've intentionally forced ourselves to memorize this weird pronunciation. It's just tomato, right? And so in the same way, it's very easy for your brain to make a memory anchor of 走 to 走. Very easy because they're quite similar. Whereas leave and 走, no relation, right? And so that's why things just stick better naturally when you use your Cantonese to help you learn, okay? So that's at a base level already, right? So now, when you top this off though with the vocabulary mapping, it becomes even easier. So let me explain. Because there's actually a mapping between Cantonese and Mandarin for specific words. So, for example, and this is something I made a whole reel on, and a lot of people took it as comedy, but it's actually supposed to be educational. And that reel was, if it's gay, then it's G. If it's gay, then it's G. Okay? So what do I mean by that? Okay? All your gay sounds, okay? Your gay sounds. So, 少gay, that's a gay sound, right? Gay, right? It's a gay sound, right? Spelled G-E-I, okay? Spelled G-E-I. 少gay, all your gay sounds. 少gay, okay? Now, those actually map to the Mandarin J-I-G sound over 90% of the time. So, let's look at some examples, right? Remember, okay? Remember is 记得. Remember, 记得. In Mandarin, that gay, it's a gay sound. What does it become? Well, it became a G. It became a G, right? 记得, 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 记得. Okay? Opportunity. 機會, right? Oh, it's a gay sound, right? So, 機會, 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 G, gay to G, 機會, okay? Fundamental, okay? In Cantonese, 基本, okay? Mandarin, gay to G, 基本, G, 基本, 基本基本 Let's not, by the way, this is obvious too, right? 本to 本, right? That's like, oh my god, it's so similar, right? 基本基本, right? Look at how similar that is. So this one, 基 to G is quite different, but there is a rule, 基 to G, right? 本to 本, right? So you don't need to use all those crazy memorization techniques, which are completely valid. They're completely valid techniques, but we don't need to use them because we speak Cantonese, right? So last one, right? Gay set, gay set, gay set, gay. Got a gay sound right here, right? Okay. Gay set, right? Gay sound right here. Mandarin, G, right? Ji shu, gay set, Ji shu, right? You're gay to a G. Okay? Awesome. Another mapping, right? If it's gai, then it's G as well. Whoa. Chicken is pronounced gai for chicken, right? It's what we call a GAI gai sound, right? That maps to G. Same thing, right? GAI, GEI, both map to JI, right? GEI, GAI both map to JI, right? So let's look at another example, right? Plan. These only differ by tone, by the way. This gai, tone 1 in Cantonese. It's okay if you don't know Cantonese tone yet, it's okay. Plan, gai wa, okay? Same kind of GAI sound, right? The gai sound, okay? Gai, right? Gai wa became in Mandarin. Ji hua, gai became Ji. Gai wa, ji hua, right? Ji hua, so gai to G, right? Continue, right? Continue is gai zhou. Oh, what we got there? We got a gai sound over here, right? Mandarin, G, right? Gai zhou, ji shu, gai zhou, ji shu, right? So gai became a G as well, okay? So that's basically the thing. So in fact, there's specific mappings between the initials, like the first letter of a word in Cantonese and Mandarin. So for example, this over here, okay, if you study pinyin and all that stuff, this first letter, this G and this J is what we call an initial, okay? The initial letter of the pinyin, or in Cantonese, the yuping, okay? And there's a specific mapping between the first letter of a word between Cantonese and Mandarin. So for example, the G sound, the G initial, will become a J about 80% of the time, okay? So I don't want this video to stray too far from the grammar rules because I think that's what is the most exciting and fun. But I have a guide and specific video on how that works. So you can check it out, link down below, okay? Guide, link down below, okay? And it has all the details on all the initial mappings and all that stuff, okay? So going back to it, what this allows us to do is to predict, because right now I'm giving you all the pronunciations for all the Mandarin Cantonese, right? But what this allows us to do is predict what the pronunciation of a given Cantonese word will be in Mandarin. So we now know, right, with the mapping, copy and paste method, right, we've turned a hard journey into a simpler one, right? Because a Guailo has to learn grammar, okay? And then a Guailo has to memorize vocab, using all this crazy stuff like a memory house and like, you know, like putting the word in, it's so much stuff. And it's good for them, but you don't need that, right? Memorize vocab, and then the last piece of the puzzle is they have to memorize tones, okay? Memorize tones, okay? And only after they complete all this, okay, can they then finally start practicing speech, okay? After all that. So now, by using your Cantonese, this has been made a lot easier, right? You pretty much don't need to learn grammar. You just need to learn a couple exception cases, okay? Memorize vocab has been made easier by using the rules and mappings, okay? The last piece of the puzzle is memorizing tones. And this was probably the hardest thing for my team and I to figure out, for me to figure out when I was trying to learn Mandarin. Because we've used Cantonese to help us. The last piece of the puzzle is a tone. And tone is the one part that when I was learning, I struggled with for a long time. Because I could memorize the pronunciation or know the pronunciation for a given Mandarin word really easily because of all the rules, right? And all the memory anchors that happen in Cantonese and Mandarin, okay? The forming sentences, easy, once I figured out all the grammar rules. But the one thing that I could not nail down was the tone. So, this is because in Chinese, each word has a specific tone. And if you get the wrong tone, you say the word wrong. The word for die, okay? The word for die is si, okay? The third tone. The word for four is si, the fourth tone, si. The word for four is die, si, okay? On top of that, there's like a million other si's, and like one of the most common Mandarin pinyin like forming, okay? So how am I supposed to memorize for every single one of these different si's, okay? Should it be si, or should it be si, or should it be si, or should it be si? I have no idea whatsoever, okay? No idea, okay? And that's the hardest part about Mandarin, is that it's a tonal language. It's very, very difficult to memorize the tone, okay? There's a lot of words. All right, we made memorization easier with the vocab, but there's still tone mapping. It's really, really hard, okay? And so when I was learning Mandarin, I had to do the whole like Guilo memory house kind of mumbo jumbo stuff and use all those techniques to try and learn. But still, I always got it wrong. And this is probably one of the most frustrating things, is because it leads to a lot of stupid moments where people look at me like, what the hell did you just say? Like, were you trying to say for or die? Like, it just, your brain just doesn't get it. And so it's really quite discouraging, and it can be a little bit embarrassing when I was trying to learn, when I would say something and I, thought I had it down, but then they're like, oh, that's the wrong tone, right? Or like, they didn't even recognize the wrong tone. They just assume what I said was like mumbo jumbo gibberish, right? So individually, this stumped me for a long time, and it was the one piece of the puzzle that I couldn't figure out between Cantonese and Mandarin, because there was no clear correlation I saw between Cantonese tones and Mandarin tones, okay? But when I gathered my team of Chinese linguistic experts to really form and create the Canton Mando Blueprint, which is our program to help Cantonese speakers learn Mandarin faster, kind of using the principles I show here, okay? When I gathered my team to form that program, we did a lot of extensive research, and we actually found studies that specifically dug into the mapping between Cantonese and Mandarin tones. And through this, we discovered the game changer, okay? There was a correlation between Cantonese and Mandarin mapping tones. This actually was a game changer because for the first time, there was a way to easily predict what the Mandarin tone for a given word was without relying on memorization or like a memory house kind of thing in the back. So let me explain, okay? A lot of times, if you ask a native Mandarin speaker what the tone number for a given word is, they actually won't know. They actually won't be like, what's the tone for the word like to speak for shuo? They're like, is it 1, 2, 3, or 4? And they'll be like, shuo, 1, right? So they'll say the word out, then they'll be like, oh, it's that tone. They actually don't have every single tone for every single word memorized, okay? See, they don't actually know the tone number inherently. What they do is they've just said and heard the word so many times in their life that inherently they know what it should sound like. Then from that, they just deduce tone number, right? So it's like, I don't memorize the word for to say, shuo is tone 1. I just know what it should sound like, and that's shuo, which happens to be tone 1. I know it's not shuo. I know it's not shuo. I know it's not shuo. It's shuo, right? That's what happens in a native speaker's head. So, unfortunately, right, for us new learners, we can't actually use this because for native speakers, they've heard that word since they were born as a baby, okay? we new learners haven't been learning the language for that long. So we don't have that ability to recall from years of hearing that language. That's why it's mixed up in our heads. But let me ask you this, okay? What's the tone for the word tall in Cantonese? Is it tone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6? Okay? Which tone is it? Now you might not be familiar with Cantonese tones, and that's totally okay. Okay? Which actually helps illustrate my point even better. So I want to ask you a better question. Okay? For you are very tall. Is it ne ho go? Right? For here. Or is it ne ho go? Ne ho go? Or is it ne ho go? Okay? And hopefully you got the last one. If not, it's okay. Not a problem. Lei ho go, you're very tall. Okay? Lei ho go. We know it's not lei ho go. We know it's not lei ho go. It's lei ho go. If you didn't get it, again, it's okay. You might not know the exact one for every single word. That's totally fine. So if you guess the last one, you're absolutely right. See, we have the exact same ability the Mandarin speakers do. We might not know and memorize what tone it is, but we know what it should sound like. So we have the same ability, but it's in Cantonese. And so this go is called one of the 6 tones in Cantonese. And this is called the high flat tone, or tone 1 in Cantonese. Best way I think about it is this. I think about it like this. Do, re, mi, fa, so, 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 go, 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 so, 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 high flat. Okay? That's tone 1. Okay? So, now, here's the part you've been waiting for. Okay? These are the findings my team of coaches found when digging through their research. The Cantonese tone 1, the high and flat, do, re, mi, fa, so, 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 maps to the Mandarin tone 1 90% of the time. Now, what's even more amazing, right, is the Mandarin tone 1 is the exact same as the Cantonese tone 1. What do I mean by that? So Cantonese tone 1, do, re, mi, fa, so, 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 go, 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 right? Mandarin tone 1, do, re, mi, fa, so, go, 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 the exact same high flat note. So if Cantonese tone 1 maps to Mandarin tone 1 90% of the time, then that means as long as a word is high and flat, okay, as long as we can hear, okay, it's a high and flat word in Cantonese like we did just now, and not go or go, right? We know it's go, high and flat. Then we know that in Mandarin, it is going to be high and flat tone 1 as well. So, Cantonese, go, Mandarin, go, the exact same, go, go. Cantonese, number 3, sam, 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 high flat. Mandarin, san, 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 high flat. Cantonese, the word for the number 1, yat, 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 yat. Mandarin, e, 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 e. Right? It's not yat, yat. It's not yat, 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 goyan. It's yat, goyan, yat, goyan, yat, goyan, high flat. E, yat, right? High flat. So the way I think about it is I kind of ignore the tone numbers. You can memorize them, but that's not the focus for here, okay? Just remember this, okay? If the sound sounds high and flat in Cantonese, then it becomes high and flat in Mandarin. So any kind of word, you're like, oh, I know how to pronounce it, but I don't know what the tone is. Well, as long as it's high and flat in Cantonese, it's high and flat in Mandarin, right? So next we have, there's 4 rules, okay? This is the first one, tone rule 1. High and flat Cantonese becomes high and flat Mandarin. Tone rule 2. Next we have the Cantonese rising tones. These are tones 2 and 5. Again, don't worry about tone numbers, okay? These are tones that go up. So for example, sang to want, right? Yum to drink. Chö, okay? Lam, ni, ngo, all go up. Ngo, ni, lam, right? Sang, all go up. Boom, 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 okay? I don't just consider these the rising tones, okay? There's not a focus on Cantonese tones here, as long as it rises. Sang, ni, ngo, okay? Now, I couldn't really think of a catchy one for this one, but the key one is if it rises in Canto, then it's the up-down tone in Mandarin. Up-down is tone 3 in Mandarin, okay? Kind of weird. So it's kind of weird to say up-down tone, so this is the one tone in Mandarin that I memorized the tone number, which, tone rule 2, okay? If it rises in Canto, it's a tone 3 in Mando. So let's look at this, okay? So Cantonese, it rises. Sang, yum, chui, right? In Mandarin, tone 3. Xiang, yin, chu, okay? Same over here. Ngao lam. This is lam for ngao lam mean, right? Lam. So rises, Mandarin, tone 3. Nan, niu nan mian, right? Nei for you, Mandarin, ni, tone 3, right? Ngo for me, ngo. It's not ngo, right? It's ngo. Mandarin, wo, tone 3 as well, okay? So we see if it rises in Cantonese, it becomes a tone 3 in Mandarin, and this is about 80% of the time. So 80% of the time, that's a lot. It's not as much as 90% of the time with tone 1, but 80% of the time, if that means you don't need to memorize the tone specific things for, because that means that all you need to do is you need to memorize the outliers. You need to memorize the ones where it's not the same, where the rule doesn't apply. But the rest of the time, you just assume the rule applies, because as long as you assume the rule applies most of the time, which is 80% of the time, you're gonna be right. And then the ones where it doesn't apply, you just check your dictionary and fix it, okay? So, tone rule 2, if it rises in Canto, it's a 3 in Mando, okay? Next, if it's flat in Canto, it corresponds to tones 3 and 6. So let's look at an example, right? So if it's flat in Canto, so flat is a flat tone, okay? So Cantonese, sai means like small, right? Hosai, right? In Mandarin, say means 4, right? In Cantonese, siu means laugh. Haha, siu, right? These are all flat. Siu, say, sai, right? It's not siu, it's not say, it's not sai, right? It's sai, say, siu, right? All this, boom. Tone 4 in Mandarin. So it's the chop tone. Xi, si, xiao, boom, 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 right? Xi, si, xiao, sai, xi, say, si, xiu, xiao, right? Same thing over here. Tone 6, if it's flat in Cantonese, don't worry about 3 and 6, okay? Don't worry about 3 and 6 difference. That's too much in your head right now. 3 and 6, they're just flat. Don't even remember like different ones. Do that later on. Refine that later on, but just now remember it's flat. Okay, so min, fan, yo, flat. Min, fan, yo, okay? Min, mian, fan, yo, ro, right? It becomes tone 4. So if it's flat, it becomes tone 4 in Mandarin, which is the chop tone, okay? So in Mandarin comes tone 4, the chop tone. So I just say this, tone rule 3, if it's flat in Canto, you can chop it in Mando, okay? If it's flat in Canto, sai is flat, sai flat, chop it in Mando. Xi, say flat, si, siu, flat, siu, right? Not siu, flat, xiao, okay? Min, flat, mian, fan, flat, fan, yo, flat, chop it in Mando. Ro. I call tone 4 the chop tone in Mandarin because it sounds like a chop, like ro, fan, mian, okay? Awesome. Finally, if it goes down in Cantonese, it corresponds to the last tone 4 in Cantonese. So what do I mean by that, right? So if it goes down in Cantonese, that's tone 4. So ngao, right? It's not ngao for beef, for cow, right? We say ngao. It's not ngao, it's not ngao, it's not ngao, right? It's ngao, yo, mean ngao lam, right? Ngao, it goes down, okay? So if it goes down, ngao, loi, chu, right? Chu for kitchen, chu fong, chu, right? Then in Mandarin, it becomes the rising tone 2. So if it goes down, if it goes down in Cantonese, right? Chu, ngao, loi. Then it goes up, rising in Mandarin. So loi, lai, ngao, niu, loi, lai, ngao, niu, chu, chu, right? 主席, chef, 厨师, right? There we go, okay? So, I remember this like this. Tone rule 4, if it falls in Canto, so if it goes down, fall in Canto, then it rises in Mando, okay? And bam, so just like that, and by the way, these are all at least 80% accurate. So the lowest one is the tone 2 one, which is about 80%. And so just like that, okay? And the rest of them are all higher, like 80, 85, 83, 86, whatever. Highest tone 1. Tone 1 is 90%, like 90, 95% or something like that, okay? So bam, just like that. So just like the Mandarin speakers do, we can now use our Cantonese to help us with Mandarin tones so that we can take away rote memorization for like 10,000 Mandarin words. As long as you know what it sounds like in Cantonese, which doesn't matter what level you are, but you have some idea because you've spoken it since you were a kid, okay? You can take whatever you know in Cantonese and all those words, you can now know what it should sound like tone-wise in Mandarin. And if you're wrong, then that's an exception case, and that's the one you memorize. But now you don't need to memorize 80. Let's say there's 80 characters that are all tone 4, right? You only need to memorize 1 or 2 that are the exception between Cantonese and Mandarin. Because you memorize, you know, the ones that are, most of the time it's the same, okay? So, important thing, some of you might be like, hey, I don't always know if I'm saying the word with the right tone in Cantonese though. Hey, that's fine. Why? Because you can learn it in the right tone in Cantonese, and then it's going to be easier for you to learn it in Cantonese than in Mandarin because Cantonese is something you're closer to, so it's easier for you, for example, to learn a new English word than it is for you to learn a new Arabic word, for example, right? Because English is closer to you, right? Cantonese is closer to you, so it'd be easier for you to learn Cantonese, a new word, and then you know how to port that over to Mandarin right away. And so, I mean, you'll be learning Cantonese and Mandarin at the same time too, right? So, because it's closer to already you know. Plus, even if you're learning it new, you have more memory anchors now, right? Because it's Cantonese, right? You have more memory anchors now because there's more things like this anchoring it into your brain, okay? So, if you want to get this guide for kind of the tone mapping in written form, and as well as a video that goes a bit deeper into it with more examples, just click in the link down below and we'll send that over, okay? So anyway, now with that grammar and vocab mapping in mind, let's get back to all the grammar rules. Let's get on to the actions in progress indicators in Cantonese and Mandarin, okay? So, in Cantonese, what is an action in progress? It means kind of like the ing. I'm playing games, right? I'm watching this video, right? It's an action in progress. ing is action in progress, okay? So, in Cantonese, our action in progress indicator goes after the verb, okay? Similar to how in English, we add the ing after the verb. I'm playing games, right? I'm eating food. In Cantonese, it's I'm sick gun. Fan. Gun is your action in progress indicator, okay? So, 我食緊飯, okay? 我食緊飯. Gun indicates an action in progress. 我食緊飯. Action in progress. Gun. That's your ing equivalent, okay? Now, in Mandarin, we have our action in progress indicator, okay? But notice, okay, that one, it's a different action in progress indicator, okay? So the word is called 在, okay? Second thing to notice is that it comes before the verb. So first one came after the verb, right? 我食. Sick is the verb, I'm eating, right? 食緊, that gun makes it I'm eating. I'm sick means to eat. 食緊 means eating, right? In Mandarin, we took that action in progress indicator, right? We moved it to before the verb and we replaced it with 在, okay? And then this one just changed the sick to 吃, same as before, right? So, I know it sounds a little complicated, but basically, if I were to make it super simple, okay? All you gotta do, right? Change your 緊 for action in progress to a 在, then move it before the verb. That's it, okay? So, 緊 to a 在, and this goes, in Cantonese, the action in progress indicator goes after the verb, and Mandarin goes before the verb. So, let's look at some examples. I'm eating food. Okay, we just went through this one. I'm eating food. 我食緊飯. 緊, action in progress, after the verb. Okay, 我在吃飯. Okay, 吃 and 食, you already know that, we learned that earlier. But 緊, move that before the verb, and switch it with 在. So, 我在吃飯. 我在吃飯. Okay, that's it. Other than that, it's the exact same. That's literally all there is to it. So they're drinking water. Okay? 佢哋飲緊水. 佢哋飲緊水. So the verb here is 飲, to drink, and we put the action in progress indicator 緊 after the verb. So 佢哋飲緊水. Okay? In Mandarin, we, as you know, move the action in progress before the verb. So 他们, so replace the 佢哋 with 他们. 他们在喝水. 他们在喝水. Okay? 他们在喝水. Okay? Now, this is a similar case here. In Cantonese, the word for to drink is yum. In Mandarin, replace that with he, he. This is literally just a case of, once again, chips and fries. Okay? Yum actually also means to drink in Mandarin. It's just not commonly used. Instead, they say he, he. So it's literally just a chips and fries case. Okay? So, 他们在喝水. 佢哋飲緊水. Okay? So as the main thing here I want you to notice is replace the 緊 with 在 and move it before the verb. Okay? So the verb for to drink in Cantonese, yum, replaced with 喝, chips and fries. Okay, let's move on. She's drinking coffee. Let's practice some more with the word 喝. So she's drinking coffee. 佢飲緊咖啡. 佢飲緊咖啡. Okay? In Mandarin, right? 他在喝咖啡. 他佢哋他 right 在喝咖啡 他在喝咖啡 okay so 咖啡 oh crap I made it green but it should be gray and these are the same okay and then so the same characters here right same words for coffee 咖啡咖啡 okay but the main thing here replace the 緊 with a 在 okay I'm drinking milk because I'm thirsty. Okay, this is a more complicated sentence, but you'll see, look, most of the words are in gray, which means most of the words are the exact same. Okay, so I'm drinking milk because I'm thirsty. This is your first step into making more complicated sentences, and you'll see it's the same thing. Okay, so I'm drinking milk because I'm thirsty. So 我飲緊牛奶，因為我口渴。我飲緊牛奶，牛奶 is milk. 因為 because 我口渴 口渴 means thirsty. So 我飲緊牛奶，因為我口渴. Okay? I'm drinking milk because I'm thirsty. Okay? In Mandarin, we only made two replacements here. That's it. That's the same. So 我在喝，在喝，在喝. Okay? So 在 replaces the 緊 and 喝 replaces the 飲. Okay? 我在喝牛奶，因為我口渴。我在喝牛奶，因為我口渴。Okay? I'm drinking milk because I'm thirsty. 我在喝牛奶，因為我口渴。我飲緊牛奶，因為我口渴。Okay? What is he drinking? Okay? 佢飲緊乜嘢？佢飲緊乜嘢？ Okay? This one, it's fun. We replaced every single word in this one. But it's straightforward, okay? 佢 with a 他, we know that already. 飲緊，在喝, right? 在喝 replace the 飲 replace with 喝 and 緊 replace with 在, right? 佢他在喝. And finally, the word for what in Cantonese, we typically use 乜嘢. In Mandarin, replace that with 什麼. So, 佢飲緊乜嘢？他在喝什麼？他在喝什麼？他在喝什麼？ Okay, 什麼 is used in the exact same way as 乜嘢. This is literally another, say with me, chips and fries British guy scenario. Okay, British guy goes to America, switches his chips to a fries. You go to mainland China, change your 乜嘢to a 什麼. Bingo, okay? In Cantonese, we have multiple ways of saying what. We say 乜嘢, right? Or we say 乜, or we say 咩, right? 你想食乜? 你想食乜嘢? 你想食咩? Right? Multiple ways of indicating what. In Mandarin, only one, baby. 什麼? Woo, let's go Mandarin. Only one. Easy peasy, right? 什麼. That's it. So all these 乜嘢, 乜 and 咩, replace the all with 什麼. That's it. Okay? So, example. What is she buying? Okay? 佢買緊乜嘢？佢買緊乜嘢？ Okay? 佢買緊乜嘢？ In Mandarin, 他在買什麼？他在買什麼？ This should actually be the same. Sorry. As in, like, this is actually the same verb between Cantonese and Mandarin. It's just I accidentally put it in the bottom. So, 佢買緊乜嘢？他在買什麼？他在買什麼？他在買什麼？ So, pretty straightforward. 佢 with a 他, right? Replace the 乜嘢 with 什麼, and then this is just a simple verb switch. 緊 to 在, okay? 佢買緊乜嘢？他在買什麼？ Okay? What is she saying? 佢講緊乜嘢？佢講緊乜嘢？ In Mandarin, 他在說什麼？他在說什麼？ Okay? Let's go with the obvious ones. 佢 to a 他, 緊 to a 在, right? And then 乜嘢 to 什麼? Okay? Now here we made one more replacement. 講 to 說, 講 to 說, 講 for to speak with 說 in Mandarin. Okay? Now, I want to make an important distinction here, okay? Technically, 他在讲什麼, which is what this would be, 講 would be 講 in Mandarin. 讲 in Mandarin is totally fine. People understand you. Some people say that too, to be honest. It's literally just a bit of preference, but more commonly than not, in Mandarin they use 说 for to say, okay? And normally they use 讲 or 講 in Mandarin for to speak. So 我跟你讲, I'm speaking to you, okay? In Mandarin, 我跟你说, I'm talking to you, right? So that's kind of the difference there. It's very minuscule, but generally when you use 講 for to say something in Cantonese, replace that with 说 in Mandarin and you're good every single time, okay? So Cantonese, right? 講 to 說, okay? Now remember, okay? Remember, 講, there's also the word 講 in Mandarin, which is literally just 講. It's what the pronunciation of this would be in Mandarin. And you can use that as well. Slight differences that are very, like, it's what I call non-80-20 difference. What I mean by that is you try to memorize and learn all the use cases when it's 講 versus 說 is such a waste of time, effort, that you should refine later on in your Mandarin learning journey. I say use 說 all the time because you're going to be right more often than not. If you use 講, you might be wrong sometimes. But 講 totally works as well. Let's look at another example. Okay. What's auntie saying? 阿姨講緊乜? Okay. 阿姨講緊乜? Okay, in Mandarin, 阿姨在說什麼? 阿姨在說什麼? Okay. 阿姨在說什麼? Okay. So here, 阿姨to 阿姨, same thing. Okay. It's green by accident. Okay. 講 to 說. Okay. Remember this one. This could be 阿姨在講什麼. It's a little bit not as common to say that way, but people understand what you're saying. But we're changing to 說 here. Okay. So 緊 to 在. Okay. Same thing. And then 乜. Remember, multiple ways to express what in Cantonese. 乜 嘢. Mandarin, 什麼. Okay. What is he thinking? Okay. What is he thinking? 佢諗緊乜? What is he thinking? 諗 means to think. 佢諗緊乜? 佢諗緊乜? Okay, in Mandarin, 他在想什麼? 他在想什麼? Okay. So, in Mandarin, the word for to think is 想. This is the same 想 as to want. So, 我想. So this is 佢在想什麼? Okay, if you write this in Cantonese. So, 想 is the word for to think in Mandarin. Now, this is the annoying part about Mandarin and Chinese in general is they use the same character with like 50 different meanings for the same character. So this technically means to want as well, but it's used here. Ways used is to think. So basically, keynote here is basically whenever you use the word lam for to think in Cantonese, replace that with xiang in Mandarin, and you'll be fine every single time. Okay, so mat became shama, gan became zai, lam became xiang, and kui became ta. Okay. So again, this is just like a fries and chips replacement. 諗 for to think became 想。我諗緊嘢，我在想事 right？ 我諗緊辦法，我在想辦法 okay? I'm thinking of a solution. Okay? Let's continue. So next one is indicating is, am, to be in Cantonese, and for that we use the word 係。So for example, 我係一個律師，我係一個律師。I am a lawyer. Okay, 律師 means lawyer. Okay, so 我係一個律師，律師 means lawyer. Okay, 係 means I am. So 我係一個律師 I am a lawyer. Okay, in Mandarin, 我是一個律師，我是一個律師，我是一個律師，我是一個律師。Okay, so what happened here is, you see it, we replaced the word 係 for is, am, to be with 是. Yay, awesome. So in Mandarin, it's quite simple. Whenever you use 係 as is, am, to be, we replace that with the word 是 in Mandarin. Same sentence, same everything. So this is literally, say it with me, fries and chips. Okay? So let's take an example. The person I like is her. Okay? So 我鍾意嘅人係佢，我鍾意嘅人係佢，我鍾意嘅人係佢。The person I like is her. Okay? In Mandarin, 我喜歡的人是他，我喜歡的人是他。Okay? I know it looks a bit crazy. Don't worry, we got this. Okay? So 鍾意, all right, simple fries and chips. Okay? The way to say like in Cantonese, we use 鍾意 most commonly. We also use this word over here actually, 喜歡, but you might not have heard it every day. But we do actually use that word. But in Mandarin, we don't really say 鍾意, we say 喜歡, 喜歡. Okay? So this means to like in Mandarin. Okay? Now in Cantonese, the word for 嘅, right? 我鍾意嘅人. For the second thing we learned, right? Mandarin, replace that with 的, right? Easy peasy, right? Replace our 嘅with 的. Okay? Then 係 became 是. Okay? 係 became 是. Okay? And then 佢 became 他. Okay? That's basically it. Everything else the same. So now, like I said earlier, when going from Cantonese to Mandarin, 鍾意 becomes 喜歡. So once again, fries and chips, right? 鍾意喜歡. Okay? Now note, by the way, that this new grammar, new vocab word for some of you who might not have heard of it before in Cantonese, but 喜歡 is actually 喜歡. Damn it, it's not an eraser. 喜歡in Cantonese, and it also means to like in Cantonese. So it's the same thing. We also use that as well. Okay? So let's continue. She's the singer I like most. 佢係我最鍾意嘅歌手。佢係我最鍾意嘅歌手。In Mandarin, 他是我最喜歡的歌手。他是我最喜歡的歌手。佢係我最鍾意嘅歌手。他是我最喜歡的歌手。Same thing over here, right? 佢 became 他，係 became 是。Okay? 鍾意 became 喜歡, and then 嘅 became 的。Okay? He is the client I like most. 佢係我最鍾意嘅客人。佢係我最鍾意嘅客人。Okay? 佢 became 他，係 became 是，鍾意 became 喜歡，嘅 became 的。他是我最喜歡的客人。客人, sorry. This is the same one as this one over here. Okay, just a mistake. 他是我最喜歡的客人. So again, it's the same replacement between bottom and top. Okay. So let's try a harder one now, where we blend multiple concepts of what we learned so far. Okay? This is going to blend multiple things we've learned so far. Okay? Do you want to pick number 4? Okay? 你係唔係想揀4號？你係唔係想揀4號？ Okay? A little bit different, but it's actually the same, except for this one over here. This is new. But in Mandarin, 你是不是想选4号？你是不是想选4号？你是不是想选4号？你是不是想选4号？ Okay, so over here. And the reason why I brought this example is very specific. It's because we did a special thing here. We used 嗨唔嗨, okay, which became 是不是, okay. Now, 嗨 became 是, as we know, and became 不. We know that, right? That's basically a very famous way of asking questions in Chinese, okay? And it's a little hard to explain. It's like, do you is or not is want to pick number 4? 你係咪想揀4號? Do you is or not is want to pick number 4? Or 你食唔食飯? Are you eating or not eating rice, right? So it's a little bit hard to explain to a Guaylo like why we ask questions that way, but for you, you see it's the same Cantonese Mandarin, right? We just made the exact replacements I talked about so far. 嗨 became 是, became 不, right? And the same format applies. 你是不是想选4号? Okay? The exact same structure in both Cantonese and Mandarin. Okay, so this is really important because this is how we really skip big grammar steps by using our Cantonese to help us learn, is because this concept in itself, 嗨唔嗨, or 是不是, this kind of way of asking questions is like a whole entire concept, whole entire kind of like lesson and everything in kind of like traditional Mandarin learning structures. But here, just replace your Cantonese 嗨 with a 是 and with a 不, and you already know how to use the structure, right? Now you can ask questions the same way. So 你飲唔飲? 你喝不喝? 我可唔可以? 我可不可以? Same thing, right? Same format. Okay. Now, second thing we did replace here is replace the 敢 for to pick with 选. Okay. 敢 for to pick with 选. So in Cantonese, typically the way we say the word to pick is we say 敢. Okay. In Mandarin we say 选. Okay. Now in Cantonese, we also use the word 选 for to pick. It's called 寻. Okay, 寻. We use that in Cantonese as well, but more commonly we use 敢. So replace all your 敢 for to pick with 选, and you'll be fine every single time. Okay. So yeah, going back to it, right? We see that even asking questions is the same in both Cantonese and Mandarin. Notice how if you're with a Guaylo, I have to explain to you that whole negative, positive way, eat, not eat way of asking questions to you, but because you speak Cantonese, it just makes sense, right? So let's look at some more examples of this particular uniquely Chinese way of asking questions. So, do you want to pick number 15? Okay. 你係唔係想揀15號? Okay. 你係唔係想揀15號? Okay. Mandarin, 你是不是想選15號? 你是不是 same thing, right? 是不是係唔係? Okay. 想選想揀. Okay. 15號, 15號. Okay. Now, key thing here, okay? I don't want you to memorize that 是不是 is like, oh, this is how you ask questions in Mandarin. 是不是, 你是不是 XYZ. Okay. I want you to instead think from Cantonese. 嗨唔嗨 becomes 是不是. So naturally, the same way of asking questions exists. Because that's how you evolve your vocabulary. That's how you evolve. And like, so it's like kind of like this, right? It's like, if you're a Guaylo, right, you learn this one thing, right? This is all you can do, right? This is all you can do is this, right? All you can do is like, you can only express this 嗨唔嗨 or 是不是 if you learn it. But because you're a Cantonese speaker and you know that 嗨 is replaced with 是, right? And is replaced with 不, right? You could have done this before I even showed it to you here. Because it's the replies, right? And so that's how you take your existing Cantonese and just bring it all over to Mandarin, easy peasy, okay? And that's why a lot of students we have, they learn Mandarin so fast because it's like, oh my God, I just learned these couple rules and suddenly it's like, I learned one thing, but I can apply it to 50 other kind of situations. And so it's like, it's not like I just learned one sentence, but it's like I learn a concept that I can take my entire vocabulary over for, okay? So, 你係唔係想揀15號? 你是不是想選15號? Okay? Next one. Do you want to pick number 327? Okay? 你係咪想揀327號 Okay? Do you want to pick number 327? 你係咪想揀327號 Okay? In Mandarin, 你是不是想選327號 327號 Now, why am I giving you all these numbers? It's because I want to show you here that the number system between Cantonese and Mandarin, the exact same. Same characters, same everything. 327號 327號 The exact same. So as long as you just learn the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which I'm kind of showing you here, as long as you learn the digits and you learn ba is bai, right? You can already form and say all the numbers in Chinese, okay? 327號 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 Okay? Do you want to pick, so now this is the same sentence, but I'm obviously giving you a bigger number, okay? Do you want to pick number 6,897? Okay. 你係咪想揀6897號 Okay? Mandarin, same thing. 你是不是想選6897號你是不是想選6897號6897號6897號 Okay? Now, this is just, by the way, this kind of like 係唔係是不是識唔識 whatever is just one way of asking questions in Chinese. There's a lot, basically all of them kind of bring over, to be honest, because Mandarin. But we'll look at that afterwards. Right now, let's look at indicators in Cantonese. So, in Cantonese, to say this, we use ni, right? So, for example, this is my phone. 呢個係我部手機 right? 呢個係我部手機 right? Ni means this. 呢個係我部手機 okay? In Mandarin, we replace that ni with a zhe. Okay, that's it. 呢個係我部手機這個是我的手機 Okay, replace that ni with a zhe, then hai with a shi, and then bo to de. Remember, possession particles in Cantonese are the measure word itself, but in Mandarin, all de. Okay, so 這個是我的手機呢個係我部手機 Okay? So just a quick small change, and I apologize for this. There's a couple tone mistakes throughout the video, if you guys have noticed. I've generally fixed it kind of like in the Yuping over here and stuff, but this one's reoccurring, so it's hard for me to fix over and over again. So I'm just gonna let you guys know. So NE is pronounced ne, ne, ne. Alright, this is ni, ni, ni. Okay, so just a little mistake here. It's NE throughout, but it should be, if it's a ni, like ni call, it should be NI. Okay? My bad on that. Please. I hope it's not the end of the world. I hope you guys don't kill me for that. And please enjoy the lesson. Thanks. In Mandarin, replace the ni with a zhe, and everything else the same. So, ni to zhe. So this. So for example, what is this? 呢個係乜嘢? Why is it so blurry? 呢個係乜嘢? In Mandarin, 這個是什麼? My mistake, but ni replaced with a zhe. I want to point out one more change I made here, which is the ho became a hen. Okay? So, I could definitely say 这条路好危险. 这条路好危险. Okay? The reason why I made it hen here is because I want to show you another way of expressing it. Okay? And more commonly in Mandarin, they use hen for very. Okay? Hao totally works as well, but more commonly they say hen. Okay? So, when you go from Cantonese to Mandarin for very, right? You can replace your ho with a hen, and you'll almost always be right. You'll always be right, to be honest. Okay? But whereas if you keep the ho, when you go from Cantonese to Mandarin, and you always use ho, sometimes you might be wrong. And I'll show you the case where you're mainly wrong. Okay? This person should do very well. So, 呢個人 應該會做得好好。呢個人應該會做得好好。Okay? 呢個人應該會做得好好。Okay? In Mandarin, we go ni with a 这. So 這個人應該會做得很好。這個人應該會做得很好。Now, this is important because I changed the 好 to a 很 here. And this is the case where, so generally you can always use the 好 as very in Mandarin. So, 你好大，你好大，你很大, same thing, same meaning, right? But in Mandarin, we never say 好好. That's a Cantonese thing, 好好. So, in 好好, right, the first 好 means very, right? The second 好 means good, okay? Now, in Mandarin, if we have a 好 afterwards, we don't say 好好. That's weird. We say 很好. So first one means very, second 好 means good. It's very good. Okay? So 呢個人應該會做得好好。這個人應該會做得很好。Okay? So besides this case, generally, going from Cantonese to Mandarin, if you want to use 好 for very, that's totally fine as well. It's just more common to hear 很. But it's totally fine. You will not be wrong. Okay? So that's for this. So this is okay with 这. So 你 to 这. Okay? Now for that, we use 嗰. So for example, in Cantonese, right? 嗰 means that. So 嗰間銀行嘅服務好好。嗰間銀行嘅服務好好。Okay? 服務 means service. So that bank service is really good. Okay? In Mandarin, 那家銀行的服務很好。那家銀行的服務很好。那家銀行的服務很好。Okay? Now, a couple things here. It might seem complicated, but it's really not. Okay? So, 銀行, same thing. 服務, same thing. Okay? 好很好, you guys already I explained this to you. Okay? Get to the, we know this one already. Get become done. Cantonese to Mandarin, right? The big change here is 嗰 became 那 for that. So 嗰個那個 right? 嗰間那家 okay? One more thing to note here is we changed the 間 to a 家 okay? This is what I call a small change. So you could have said 那間銀行的服務很好。那間銀行的服務很好. So you could use the same one. 那間 You could have used this character here. 那間銀行的服務很好. Okay? You wouldn't be wrong. People would understand you without any problems. It's just more common to say 那家. And it just comes down to different measure words. And this is like, I'm showing you this here because otherwise people are going to comment on me and say like, oh, like you should be 家, right? But literally like the difference is 間 means like 間 銀行. Means like it's typically the measure word used for rooms, right? And I don't know, maybe in like Hong Kong or Cantonese places, like typically, banks are like, they use gan for those kind of places, right? Whereas jia is used for like commercial buildings as a measure word. And so that's why it's jia. But if you say, 那间银行 in China, something like that, no one is going to care. Like no one is going to care. And that's why like measure word, okay? Because there's a measure word difference. Okay, this is a measure word difference. And measure words, guys, is where I will tell you early on, do not give a crap, okay? Every single Chinese kind of program will be like, oh, like you make sure you get it right, make sure you get it super right, okay? And if you get it wrong, you do something bad, okay? Screw it. Just use all go for all of them, or ge, okay? 嗰個銀行嘅服務好好，那個銀行的服務很好, okay? Technically, wrong measure word, but who cares? Everyone will understand you without a problem, okay? And so what I always say is get speaking as fast as possible, because if you study for 15 hours of Chinese and you can't say a single thing because you're trying to optimize the measure word, you're going to get discouraged. You're not going to want to learn anymore. So screw this like perfection of this dumb measure word thing, right? Get it wrong at first. Who cares? Everyone understands you. No one cares. Even Chinese people mix it up all the time. Okay? And then fix it later on down the line. Okay? So the only reason why I put this here as to be honest, I was thinking about this one. I was like, oh, like I have to explain this gan versus jia, and it's so annoying, right? Because it's just a minute thing, but I knew that if I didn't put it here, then someone would comment and say like, oh, like Sheldon, why'd you get it wrong, right? So that's why I put it here. But to be honest, I want to tell you guys, don't give a crap about measure words early on. Okay, measure words is something that you refine and get right once you're at a stage where you can communicate already. Then it's easy to fix. Okay, but in the beginning, if you spend too much time trying to be like, oh my God, what's the measure word for a horse or a dog or a pack of animals, right? A bunch of animals. Don't say pack of animals. Like, don't worry about these small, minute things because they're only going to waste your time and discourage you. And in the beginning, you want results because if you don't get results and you study 15 hours, you'll be like, what's the point of this, right? Okay. So keep yourself going. Okay. So main part of that, well, besides that rant, main thing there was replace your goal with na. Okay. So when Cantonese to Mandarin, anytime you want to say that, right, replace your goal with na. Okay. So 嗰個那個 okay, 嗰間那間 okay. So that supermarket is extremely clean. 嗰間超市超乾淨。嗰間超市超乾淨. Okay. 超 is just another way of saying very. It's like extremely. Okay. In Mandarin, 那家超市超干净。那家超市超干净。那家超市超干净. Okay. So you see it's the same. All this is the same. Only thing we change is 那to 嗰. Okay. And remember, you could have 那间超市. First off, you're not technically wrong. Okay. It depends on if the supermarket is like a room or if it's like a whole commercial building. So you're not technically wrong by saying that. So don't worry about this thing. Okay. What time does that supermarket close? Okay. 嗰間餐館, oops. What time does that restaurant close? Restaurant. What time does that restaurant close? 嗰間餐館幾點閂門? 嗰間餐館幾點閂門? Okay. In Mandarin, 那家餐館幾點關門? 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 Okay. So change that 嗰 to a na. Change that 嗰 to a na. Okay. 間 to 家. I already ranted about this too much. 餐館, 餐館. This one is actually the same. I don't know why I put two. Okay. San to guan. Okay. When we say close in Cantonese, we typically use san. In Mandarin, guan. Okay. So when going from Cantonese to Mandarin, replace all your close. Whenever you say san, san mun, replace that with guan. Okay. Now, some of you, especially if you're from Guangzhou, for example, Cantonese, you might say guan mun at home. That's this, guan mun. Okay. So in Cantonese, we either use san or guan to say close. In Mandarin, we mainly use guan. Okay. So replace all your time with guan. Fries and chips. Okay. Now, finally, for the word which, we use bin. Okay. So in Cantonese, which restaurant hasn't closed yet? 邊間餐館未閂門? Right? 邊間餐館未閂門? Bin means which, right? In Mandarin, same thing. 哪家餐館還沒關門? 哪家餐館還沒關門? So, bin became na. This is the same pinyin as the one before, but it's tone 3 versus the one before was tone 4. So for that, it's na, 那個, right? 嗰個,那個 for that. For which, 邊個, right? It's 哪個, 哪個. So tone 3, na, 哪個, okay? So then replace the gang with the 家, 餐館. I messed this one up as well. You don't need the same one over here. Okay, because it's the same character. Okay. 未,還沒, 未,還沒, we learned that, negation, right? 未 became 還沒, and then 三關, same thing, okay? So we're trying to bring back previous concepts to show you, okay? Which song do you like the most? 你最鍾意邊首歌? 你最鍾意邊首歌? Okay, which song do you like the most? 你最喜欢中意喜欢 remember we learned that earlier 你最喜欢哪首歌你最喜欢哪首歌 so replace that 宾 with 哪 okay 你最喜欢哪首歌 okay 宾 with 哪 okay otherwise same thing right all the rest are the same 你最你最首歌 okay which country do you feel I should travel to 你覺得我應該要去邊個國家旅遊 so 旅遊 means to travel 旅遊 means travel okay 國家 means country so 你覺得我應該要去邊個國家旅遊 so quite long but in reality you see there's only one different word here right so in Mandarin 你覺得我應該要去哪個國家旅遊你覺得我應該要去哪 which 哪個國家旅遊 Alright, so next we got location, and this is where it's going to kind of bring everything together that we've learned so far, okay? So, I will wait for you in the airport, okay? So, this one's a little blurry again. So, 我會喺機場等你我會喺機場等你 I'll wait for you in the airport. 我會喺機場等你機場 means airport, 等 means to wait, right? 我會喺機場等你 okay? This 喺 means in the airport, okay? This is different from the 喺 for is am to be. That's 我係 Sheldon, 我係 right? 我係 This is 我喺機場 so it's tone going up, tone 2, okay? In Mandarin, we go 我會在機場等你我會在機場等你我會 oops, this one doesn't need to be the same one 在機場等你 okay, so the only thing replaced here is 喺 with a 在 okay? Now, I know you're thinking, oh my god, this 在 is the exact same 在 as an action in progress indicator. It is. Same one, okay? But when used in front of a location, it indicates that you're at somewhere in the same way as 喺 in Cantonese. Okay, so like I said, Mandarin's kind of annoying because they use the same words over and over again for different meanings, but that's just how it is, okay? So, it's like a fish and chips type, it's like a chips and fries situation. So all your hais for being at somewhere is replaced with 在 in Mandarin, okay? So to indicate location in Cantonese, we use 喺, and then replace that with 在. So whenever you indicate a location, okay, whenever you're indicating a location indicator, in Mandarin, replace that with 在. So 喺 in Cantonese, 在 in Mandarin, okay? So let's look at some examples. I'm eating food in the airport, okay? And this is an interesting one because the reason why I brought this one up is because what do I do if I have a location in the same sentence as the one where I have an action in progress? Because they're both 在, remember, right? So, I'm eating food in the airport, okay? 我喺機場裏面食緊飯, okay? 我喺機場裏面食緊飯. Okay, so here we have 喺 for a location and then 食緊 for an action in progress. Okay, in Mandarin it's 我在机场里面在吃饭. Okay, 我在机场里面在吃饭. So it's the same thing. Okay, it's the same thing. Now, this sounds a little bit weird. Okay, this sounds a little bit weird, but people understand you. So worst case scenario, if you just do the exact things we've learned so far, everyone will understand you, no problem. Like people won't even people understand you, they won't even say you sound weird. They'll just be like, okay, cool, I understand, right? So typically when we have an action in progress and a place in the same sentence, we'll omit the action in progress, 在. So I'm eating food in the airport, would just become 我喺機場裏面食緊飯. So it Cantonese is the same thing, but in Mandarin we would just go 我在機場裡面吃飯, right? 我在機場裡面吃飯, right? And it makes sense because it's saying I'm in the airport, right? So it's already indicating that you're at somewhere, and then it says I'm eating rice, right? 我在机场里面吃饭。我在机场里面吃饭。So we omitted the 在 here. Take out the 在. That sounds more natural. Okay? So typically when we have an action in progress and a location in the same sentence, we'll omit the action in progress 在. Okay? So next we have location words. You're gonna need these. Okay? Here, there, where. So how to say here, there, where. So in Cantonese to say, to say here, there, where, we typically add the location indicator, 都, after this, that, which. So let me explain, okay? So Cantonese for here, we say 呢度, 呢度. So 呢 means this, right? 呢 means this. And we added the location indicator 度 afterwards to make it here, 呢度, right? In Mandarin, same thing, right? We take this, so 你 and 这, remember, are the same, okay? This. And then we just switch the location indicator 度 with 里. Okay, in Mandarin we use 里. So 呢度这里, okay? 嗰度那里边度哪里. So I'll show you. So for there, right? 嗰度, right? Replace your 嗰 with 那 for that. Okay, and then add the 度 afterwards. Replace that with 里in Mandarin. There. Okay? And then for where, 边度哪里. So this one is tone 3, right? 边 for which, we learned that earlier. Okay, oops. 边 for which, we learned that earlier. Replace with 哪里. Okay, 边度哪里, then 度 replaces 里. Okay? So location place indicator in Cantonese versus Mandarin, 度 versus 里. Okay? He really wants to live here. So in Cantonese, right, we have 佢好想住喺呢度。佢好想住喺呢度。Okay? 佢好想住喺呢度。Okay? In Mandarin, right, 他很想住在这里。他很想 or 他好想 either or, remember? Okay? 他很想住在这里。他很想住在这里。他很想住在这里。Okay? This one I also forgot to omit some, so this is the same. Cantonese and Mandarin, this is the same. Okay? So we don't need to worry about that. Okay? So let's look at what happened. 佢 became 他. Okay? 他好很. This is an optional one, doesn't have to be. It could be 他好想. Okay? 想住, same thing, 想住. Okay? 喺 for location indicator became 在, as we know. Okay? And then 呢度 became 这里, right? Easy. Okay? People here are really tall. 呢度啲人好高。呢度啲人好高。呢度啲人好高。Okay? Mandarin, 这里的人很高。这里的人很高。这里的人很高。So over here, 呢度 became 这里. Alright? D for possession particle became 的, right? 人好很. Okay, we could have said 好高. 这里的人好高. Totally fine as well. Okay? He should wait for you there. Okay? He should wait for you there. Okay? He should wait for you there. 佢應該會喺嗰度等你。佢應該會喺嗰度等你。Okay? In Mandarin, 他應該會在那裡等你。他應該會在那裡等你。Okay? 他應該會在那裡等你。Okay? So, 佢 became 他, right? This is all the same. 喺 for location indicator became 在。喺 for location indicator became 在。嗰度 for there became 那裡. Okay? And then 等你 is the same with Cantonese and Mandarin. Okay? 佢應該會喺嗰度等你，他應該會在那裡等你。Okay? 佢哋應該會喺嗰度見面。Okay? In Mandarin, 他們應該會在那裡見面。他們應該會在那裡見面。Okay? So 見面 means to meet. 見面 same thing in Mandarin. And then 嗰度那裡喺在 and then 佢哋他們 perfect. Okay? Then we got where. So where is she? Okay? 佢喺邊度？佢喺邊度 in Mandarin? 他在哪裡？他在哪裡 Okay? So 佢 became 他，喺 became 在 and then 邊度 for where became 哪裡 Okay? Where have I seen you before? Okay? 我喺邊度見過你？我喺邊度見過你？ Okay? In Mandarin, 我在哪裡見過你？我在哪裡見過你？ Okay? So 我 became 我 same thing. 喺在 for location indicator. 邊度哪裡 for where. 見過你見過你 Okay? Same in both Cantonese and Mandarin. Where have I seen you before? Okay? And that's a wrap. Hey, so I hope that was helpful, at least a little bit. Okay, I mean, I assume if you stayed for 2 hours, I hope it was at least a little bit helpful. But if it was actually, even a little bit helpful, and you are actually serious about learning Mandarin, and you actually want to get this solved and you're motivated, then I encourage you to actually book a free chat with our team. What we can do is we kind of hear where you're at with your Cantonese, hear where you're at with your Mandarin, and kind of see where you're trying to get to in terms of like, is it for work, for relationships, for career? Like what are you trying to learn for? And we can help you personalize a plan to help you get there. So we've worked with a lot of different clients from, people in real estate to kind of medicine to kind of like just people who want to learn it to speak with their partners' families or to connect closer with the culture. And we can help personalize a plan specifically for you to get you there. So if that's something you're interested in, you can click down below to book a free chat with our team. Spots limited. So if there's spots on the calendar, then it's still open. And if not, subscribe because we're going to be putting out more helpful things all the time.